Welcome back for the market forecast, friends and traders. Still Thursday, August the 22nd. John Hoagland and Dan, the man, the Marine Hodgman, thanking you for trusting us with your time. Hopefully you've had a good trading day. Some interesting developments happened this morning. Shortly after the recap, I've got my last cup of coffee for the day. Get yourself a cup of coffee, relax. Let's take a look at what happened today and what we're looking at for tomorrow. Stocks had a little bit of a tumble today after yield curve inversion and a little bit of hawkish tone from the Feds in Jackson Hole. The crude oil, that emotion spilled over into crude oil, and it seems as though we may be breaking a little bit of upside structure, short time frame upside structure, but upside structure nonetheless. We'll take a look at that very shortly. Gold, very short overnight positioning. We discussed that this morning in the forecast, and they really just drove price right back towards settlement. Not quite getting there, but still offering a really good opportunity for trade shortly after the opening or on the opening. And the euro really stays inside the overnight range in a tight but slightly volatile range today. It's kind of spanning the weekly kickoff low. It's going to be interesting to see how that market has resolved today and what happens with it tomorrow. And make sure you like, share, comment, question, feedback, and heckling are always welcome. Welcome back, Alan. Dante, good to see you guys are here. Now I'd like to just invite Dan into the picture. How are you, Dan, the man,
John,
the Marine?
I'm great, thank you.
Good to see you.
You introduced this as the market forecast. This is called the market recap. The day is coming to a close, believe it or not.
Oh, I wasn't ready for that.
There you go.
I did. I said market forecast.
You absolutely did.
It even says recap right here. Recap. I think
It's been a long week.
Yes,
It's been a long
already.
week, to say the least. Wild day.
Yeah. Well, I was well on my way to thinking that we were going to see some good upside action in the equities today, and just as things were getting started, everything fell apart.
The bottom fell apart.
It is doing a hell of a job trying to take back those losses. As a matter of fact, right before the recap,
there it is.
S&P's got all the way back to settlement. They took out all of those losses from earlier today.
Unbelievable. That's why I put in the title. Yield curve inverts and equities just seem okay with it. They're like, whatever at this point. Enough people have been talking about yield curve and they've given up the talk on recession. Okay, let's just bring in something else to talk about now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
traders do have short memories.
Absolutely. So that was really exciting watching that thing move here today.
Oh.
And it's been an awesome week.
It was dangerous.
Dangerous is a great way to put it.
But opportunistic.
If you define your levels, you know where you're looking at. Came all the way back down to, not yesterday, so Tuesday's settlement price.
Yeah.
The low there. Beautifully sets you up. And bam, nice asymmetric opportunity.
And when I say Tuesday's low, I mean regular trading hour session low.
Yes, I got you there. And then opened up on Wednesday. Wednesday's open at 5 p.m. on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. It opened up right there at that low too. And so it really that was a great opportunity to look for a trade.
Mm-hmm. Was.
So if you were seeing that and if you were still in, it's hard to be long when you see a market falling so fast and so hard. It's hard to say I want to be long here, picking a bottom. But we always say never pick tops and never pick bottoms.
Right.
It's a tough trade to make, so if you thought about it and didn't want to do it, that's totally okay.
It gave you another shot at that level without taking out the previous low. To me, that is where the opportunity was. I'll show you that on the chart when we get to that.
Absolutely. Well, why don't we get to those charts?
All right. Yeah, let's do it. All right. So we always start with the daily in crude. This morning we were kind of just talking about, that's wrong market. It's continuing to coil, and it's still continuing to coil. It was having a hard time at that trend line. And I think the story is better shown on the 30-minute chart. We had 5 consecutive days of higher highs and higher lows. We've kind of broken that now. We've broken that structure. And what does that mean for us moving forward? Well, I'm going to be looking for opportunities to sell strength up against this trend line now if I get the opportunity. And with so much coming out of Jackson, anything's bound to happen. We were kind of mentioning that it's going to be hard for Chairman Powell to say what he's probably has to say tomorrow without shaking things up a little bit. We're gonna have to wait to see that for tomorrow. But our opportunity is probably when this market kind of felt the emotion from the equities heading to the downside, breaking below this level here. Let's look at the E-mini S&Ps now. This is the fascinating one. We opened above a weekly kickoff high. That's an important inflection level. I think we were, after the open, I think we were well on our way to bringing higher prices back into the S&Ps today. But of course, the yield curve, as well as some hawkish comments by the Fed people in Jackson, knocked the market for a loop. But it really didn't change much. We put in a higher high, we put in a higher low. We're still tangling with the weekly kickoff high. We've taken out the vast majority, if not all, of the early losses from the day. Now here's what we're talking about. The market begins to head higher, takes out the overnight high, and then of course the yield curve and everything else comes out, and we get very emotional to the downside. This is a really hard trade to try and fade, right? We try not to step in front of freight trains. Where I think the real opportunity came in was on this bar. This bar opens, doesn't even really trade much lower than that, and starts to move to the upside. This gives us an opportunity to limit our risk against the previous low of the bar, the previous low of the previous bar, the low of the session. That low also lines up, very nicely with value low from Tuesday. I mean, almost to the tick. I'm of the school that I kind of believe there's an inherent strength in the equities. So this was a really sweet opportunity. Market tanks, comes all the way back, right back to settlement. This was where our opportunity was. I did not want to step in front of this bar right here, but when it opened, didn't even look much lower. This gives you an opportunity to limit your risk again, and there's a pretty substantial opportunity to the upside there. Gold. Okay, we still really not bringing in much volume. As long as we're staying in this consolidation area, I don't think we're going to be bringing in too much volume. The story again in gold here is on the 30-minute chart. Here's settlement from yesterday, which was 15.1570. All of our overnight activity continued to get shorter and shorter as the night went on. They started to kind of unravel. Okay, remember, this is probably more shorter time frame, weaker money traders that are just looking for help at the U.S. session to continue their move to the downside, to continue paying them. Even before the open, I think they started getting that idea. Market opens, basically trades the market right back to settlement. It's one of the scenarios or hypotheses we discussed on the forecast this morning. And Euro. Okay, we had a kind of a more volatile evening overnight session than we did in the U.S. session here. The story, I think, is also in the 30-minute chart here. Here's our overnight high or overnight low. We basically span the weekly kickoff low. There's a lot of consternation going on in this market, a lot of cognitive dissonance, a lot of difference of opinion in this market, which does provide opportunities, not directional today, more range bound, but still opportunities nonetheless. This is a pretty volatile day in a smaller range. So we've got some of these markets, the S&Ps, we've got the Euro near weekly kickoff levels coming into the end of the week with the Jackson Hole Symposium going on. It's going to be another interesting day tomorrow. Not even suggesting that today was uninteresting by any stretch. We've just got one more day with which to let things kind of settle out for the weekend. And I think we're going to see some opportunities again tomorrow.
Absolutely. I think there's still a lot ahead tomorrow. Granted, this week it's been fun. It's given us range trade. It's given us some trend trading. It's given us breakouts. given us a little bit of everything. It's
Yeah.
It's been a really fun week, and hopefully
And
people are able
two,
to take it.
two or three of these markets, I think, have had weekly kickoff levels involved in the weekly activity this week. So it's always interesting.
Absolutely, absolutely. So very exciting. I am going to be signed off tomorrow. I'm not going to be doing anything tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think, with Powell speaking, it's going to be a tough day to really find a whole lot of. Let me word this properly. It's going to be hard to find
A strategy,
yeah, other than there it goes. Let's get in.
right?
And I don't need to do that on a Friday.
Yeah, it seems like tomorrow's going to be a day where there's going to be probably more than one event
Yes.
that we can't predict that may knock these markets around.
Exactly. I mean, part of the news is things I wanted to talk about were his speech tomorrow. It's going to be really hard no matter what he says. He could sit there and say the sky is blue and the markets will be volatile. So anything he says tomorrow is going to send a little bit of a shock to some markets, and it's going to extend some ranges, and we may see some slippage. And the last thing you want to do on a Fridays are designed for saving what you have or putting yourself in a little bit better position come the end of the day. You want to lock in anything. If you're up on the week, what's the point of even trading on a Friday sometimes?
It's really tough to have a good week and then ruin it on the last day on Friday and then have to wait for the weekend to try and get back in and
Exactly.
And get your head on straight, and
Right.
it's difficult, man.
Right, and then with him speaking, it's just going to add that added weight and pressure to the whole thing. So I think tomorrow is going to be a day where if you're questioning or you've had a good week, tomorrow's a great day to stay away.
Yeah, and if you are going to play, size down.
Yeah, small. Extremes. We talked yesterday pretty heavily on trading extremes. Find your extremes, define your levels, and we'll see what happens. So in other news, something we haven't talked about, but I think is just kind of gives me a chuckle. President Trump wanting to buy Greenland. That's in the news.
Yeah, I haven't even taken that serious enough to read about it.
I think, I think it's like strategy-wise, military-wise, it puts it, in a good spot.
I didn't even know it was for sale. It's not on Zillow.
I don't think it is for sale.
It's not on Zillow.
No, I didn't see it. I've actually been looking on Zillow lately. I did not see it. But apparently, it's been tried in the past. Other presidents have attempted to see if they can acquire Greenland. So that one's kind of interesting. I think it gives me a chuckle.
Well, if it were me, and this is just me, if I was going to buy an island, the only ice on that island would be behind the bar.
Or in your glass.
Or in my glass.
Right?
Right? So, but I get it.
I understand.
I get it. It's a strategic move.
Strategic. Who knows that? Who knows
Hey,
how
we're
serious
all about
it is?
strategy here.
Right? And then it's that time.
It is time for Dan Hodgman's This Date in History.
There we go. All right, so nothing really, really exciting happened on this day in history, but back in 1851, so the U.S. won its first America's Cup.
Oh,
The sailing race.
Sailing race.
Yeah, I grew up as a sailor. I love sailing.
I love sailing.
We have a former World Cup captain champion, Buddy Melgus, on Lake Geneva in Wisconsin. He won the World Cup in the early 90s, I believe it was.
Yeah, he had
92-ish.
His son Hans was in the S&P pit with me.
Yes. And his grandson, Harry, is in the Olympic trials right now. To go to the Olympics, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Sailing's in the blood.
Sailing is in the blood.
Arr.
Right? So that happened in 1851. And then this one's kind of fun. In 1989, Nolan Ryan, famous Texas Rangers pitcher, threw his 5,000th strikeout.
Wow.
Of the total 5,714 in his career. 1,500 more than his closest competition.
I think I've struck out more than that.
Probably. So that's what we got on this day in history.
Awesome.
And other than that, it's been a fun week.
What are we going to do when there's You get to a day and they're like, absolutely nothing happened on this day. I guess that's what you have to say.
I mean, if nothing happened on a day in history, I just don't see that being possible.
Yeah, probably.
They've got a lot. Like I pick and choose the one, but there's usually a lot happening.
Maybe we should start adding rock stars' birthdays or something.
Right? Well, we have. They'll put those in this every so often. 1485, the Battle of Bosworth Field. It was the last major battle of the War of the Roses. King Richard III is defeated and killed at the Battle of Bosworth Field by Henry Tudor.
Wow.
So they've got a lot of information. I just pick and choose a couple of them that stand out to me.
Nice.
1776 on this day, the Redcoats landed in Long Island for the Revolutionary War.
Wow.
Then there's some in a language that I can't even read. So there's always something. It's interesting.
Absolutely. We have a long and storied history. There's always something every day.
There's something.
Absolutely.
If not, we can make something up.
Well, let's take a look at what we got here. Looks like we may have some comments and questions here.
Oh yeah, we bought Louisiana.
Oh yeah, is that right today?
No, we were just talking about buying Greenland.
Purchase.
We did buy Louisiana.
Yeah.
The best deal
Yeah, that was
in real estate history.
Right. So Rogerio, yes. Good afternoon, Deg, Alex, Dante. Again, awesome. It's the forecast to the recap. There you go.
Yes.
Thank you, Dante. Thank you. And that's the heckling I was looking for. Thank you.
Boo.
This morning you said ES looked like it wanted to make a strong move, but it got absorbed up top and headed for yesterday's value low. Yeah, that was really kind of my prime hypothesis this morning was it kind of really felt like it was gonna grind up to the upside, but hey, these events happen. We can't predict them, and again, we're trying to be right, just kind of trying to put some context out there. Follow up from this morning's question. Did not understand. How do you identify momentum and participation in the TST's platform? Which two tools do you help identify them? Well, momentum and momentum is easy. Is price moving quickly. Participation is a little bit more difficult. Using the volume profiles when you have, let's say, a range. Okay, volume profile, you see a range, and when the price starts to move away from that range, what I'm looking for in participation and volume, mostly you're just going to be able to see it in the volume. If you start to stack up a lot of volume outside of a previous range, that means that people are noticing, and that breakout has a better probability of continuing. The participation is more how many people are actually noticing. Is the entire trading world noticing that this breakout may possibly be occurring? And I see that. It's subjective, takes a little practice, but I see that right in the dome. If I'm looking at the dome and I'm seeing a lot of orders being placed and canceled and price moving around quite a bit, that's telling me the more I see that, the more people I believe are actually paying attention to it, and the better probability of a continuation of that breakout. I've been burned so many times by false breakouts, so I've had to try and find a way to kind of quantify what is really a true breakout, and it's going to be momentum, participation, volume, and sometimes time. Sometimes it'll break out and it will just hang there and 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 hang there, and then finally it'll go. So in your longer time frame breakouts from ranges that take days, sometimes it's the time. We're always looking for a daily close above or below an important inflection level as a sign of acceptance or continuation, or of acceptance of a breakout away from that area. Nothing is finite in trading. You have to be able to adapt to what you see. Hopefully that is a little bit more clear for you, Rogerio. All right.
Well explained, John. Well explained.
I try. It's. Are you gentlemen still discussing giving up the euro and perhaps adding the NQ? Dan, what do you think? Should we do that?
I don't know if I'd add NQ. We're already talking about S&Ps. It's really
they're related but different, you know.
They're very related. I'd rather see a treasuries brought in. I know we've been asked for treasuries quite a bit.
Oh, I'm never going to sleep. Yes.
No, we're open to anything, honestly.
Absolutely.
Honestly, no, we're open to absolutely anything. You guys just let us know what you want to see, and we'd rather make it better for you guys than something we personally want. So just let us know.
Absolutely. And you know, the NASDAQ is, I mean, it's a very popular product here.
Absolutely.
So, Dan, something we have discussed and we are working on trying to figure out what to do.
Absolutely.
In that regard.
The current products that we are using are still 4 of the most popular within Top Step Trader. I do check that out every so often to make sure.
Sure.
But NASDAQ is in I think the top 10 for sure. So we can definitely, well, that's something we'll make it a point. I will take a look at most popular products traded and see what we can do.
Yeah, I'd like to do them all, but that's
I don't know
all
if there's enough time in the day.
That's all I'd be able to do.
Right. No, nothing else.
Yeah. All right, so I just want to call out some Trader PD for how much? Half a billion. It's not for sale. We bought Louisiana. Yes, we did dig. Trader PD. Watch the dome and the time it sells. You will feel it. Absolutely. Yeah, we did get a strong move today, Dante. That's for sure. Good practical way to think of. All right, excellent, Rogerio. I'm glad that helped. Awesome. And welcome, Dan, as always, and Andre, bonds, please. He says. So we're gonna.
The tough part about if we were to do bonds is tough just in the sense of like some days they're really moving and they're fun, and then you'll go like a week and they're quiet, and it's like
well, it's kind of like the euro, you know. Euro it's been kind of for a week or so, and then it'll go, and then
it gets a little stagnant, and then it goes.
I was looking for it to go today. Unfortunately, it wasn't today.
No.
But thank you very much for the feedback and the thoughts, and
absolutely,
you know, we are certainly taking all feedback very seriously here, and you know, we'll keep you in tune with any changes.
Absolutely. Other than that, I am out of here. I won't be back until Monday for everyone. So as always, thank you for tuning in, and enjoy some time this weekend. Summer's coming to a close. Labor Day's around the corner.
Boy, that happened fast.
Sure did. So hopefully all of you guys have a great weekend. And thanks as always. I'll see you guys on Monday.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
All right. So just going to put up the list for tomorrow as to what we're looking at. We know we've got the Jackson Hole Symposium going. I just want to double check that and make sure I get times and locations and channels right. We do have new home sales tomorrow, 9 o'clock Central Time. At the same time, Chairman Powell will be speaking. Baker Hughes rig count later on in the day, but by noon, hopefully nobody's going to be watching. We'll all be up money, and we'll all be starting our weekend. Reminder: tomorrow we will have the forecast, but we won't have the later forecast, also known as the recap, on Fridays until after Labor Day. Then we'll be back full strength on Fridays, and we're looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow morning at 8:15 for the market forecast. That's the first market forecast of the day. Again, we won't be having a forecast or a recap tomorrow. And
you will have a forecast tomorrow, recap.
No recap. We will have a forecast. I'm confusing myself here. Thanks, Dan.
Absolutely.
All right, so get a good night's sleep. Let's end the week strong tomorrow. Trade well tonight. If you're going to continue to trade, make sure you keep your powder dry so you got the opportunities for tomorrow. And until then, we'll see you. Trade well.